I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's hardly straightforward. That's not exactly how I understood the situation. I wouldn't go so far as to recommend it. It does address the issue, just not in the way I expected. I'm hesitant to call it a success. That's one interpretation, though not the one I'd prioritize.
Hey, quick question. Can you cover my shift at the help desk tomorrow?
Tomorrow. I think I can make that work.
Amazing. You'd be saving my life.
Yeah, I should be free after my seminar.
Great. I'll tell the supervisor you're taking it.
Maybe hold off for a second.
Why?
I just remembered the seminar runs longer than I thought.
But you said you could make it work.
I said I thought I could. There's a difference.
So, what are we talking? Late arrival?
More like, it would be unfair to promise and then disappear.
That's a very polite way to say no.
I'm trying to be honest without being dramatic.
So, you can't do it.
Not tomorrow. If it were next week, absolutely.
Next week doesn't fix tomorrow.
I know. I'm sorry.
So, are you coming to my recital on Saturday?
Saturday. Right. That's the one at 7?
Yeah, you said you'd try to make it.
I did say that.
That pause is making me nervous.
No, your recital matters.
But
But my cousin is in town, and my family is having dinner.
you could bring your cousin.
That's a generous invitation.
I'm serious.
I know. It's just, she's not really a quiet concert person.
So you're choosing dinner.
I'm choosing the option that creates the least chaos.
Wow, okay.
That didn't come out the way I meant it. I really do want to support you.
From a distance?
From a calmer timeline, can I take you out after and celebrate?
That's not the same.
I know. It's the best version I can offer.
Did you RSVP to the volunteer event for new students?
I look at the sign-up sheet. Very inspiring.
Inspiring enough to put your name on it?
I'm emotionally supportive of the cause.
That's not how volunteering works.
True. I'm just trying to be realistic.
Realistic about what?
About my weekend being already spoken for.
By what?
A long-term commitment called sleep.
Wow, heroic.
Listen, I'm not saying the event isn't important.
You're just saying you won't be there.
I'm saying I might not be there in a way that sounds less selfish.
That's impressively honest.
I can help with flyers tonight. That counts, right?
It counts as you negotiating with your conscience.
So, partial credit?
As we move into the final weeks of the semester, I'd like to say a few words about optional review sessions. These sessions are designed to clarify concepts students often struggle with, especially before cumulative exams. At the same time, this period tends to coincide with increased assignment deadlines across courses. Students who choose to attend should consider whether the session will meaningfully support their preparation, rather than assuming attendance alone will offset limited study time elsewhere. Careful planning will be especially important over the next few weeks.
I'd like to clarify our approach to group project deadlines. While some flexibility may be possible for groups facing unexpected challenges, consistent deadlines help ensure fairness across the class. Groups that request extensions are asked to consider how delays may affect peer evaluations and coordination with other teams. Although early communication is encouraged, students should keep in mind that flexibility in one area may introduce complications elsewhere in the project timeline.
Before you leave, I want to briefly address access to shared lab equipment. The department aims to make resources available to as many students as possible, particularly during peak research periods. However, extended use by a small number of students can limit availability for others. While no strict time limits are currently enforced, students who anticipate needing prolonged access are encouraged to plan sessions during off-peak hours and coordinate with peers to minimize conflicts.
In biology, adaptation is often described as a process that optimizes traits for survival. This description can be misleading because it suggests that organisms evolve toward ideal solutions. In reality, biological traits are shaped by trade-offs and constraints that limit what evolution can achieve. Consider the structure of bird wings. Wings must be lightweight to enable flight, yet strong enough to withstand repeated stress. Increasing bone thickness might improve durability, but it would also increase weight and reduce efficiency. As a result, wing design represents a compromise rather than an optimal outcome in any single dimension. Similar trade-offs appear at the cellular level. Enzymes that operate quickly may be less stable under changing conditions, while highly stable enzymes often function more slowly. Natural selection does not eliminate these limitations. Instead, it favors traits that perform adequately within specific environmental contexts. From this perspective, adaptation should be understood as context-dependent problem-solving. Evolution produces workable solutions shaped by historical constraints, not perfect designs engineered from scratch. Recognizing these limits helps biologists explain why certain traits persist even when they appear inefficient by simplified standards.
Anthropologists have long been interested in understanding how cultural practices function within the societies that produce them. However, interpreting those practices is rarely straightforward, particularly when researchers apply assumptions drawn from their own cultural backgrounds. For example, early anthropological accounts sometimes described gift exchange in small-scale societies as inefficient or irrational. From an economic perspective focused on profit or accumulation, giving away valuable goods can appear counterproductive. Later research, however, revealed that these exchanges often served important social purposes, such as reinforcing alliances, establishing status, or maintaining long-term cooperation. This shift in interpretation did not occur because the practices themselves changed, but because researchers began asking different questions. By examining how participants understood their own actions, anthropologists gained insight into meanings that were invisible under earlier analytical frameworks. As a result, contemporary anthropology emphasizes reflexivity, the practice of critically examining the researcher's own assumptions. Rather than treating cultural behavior as data to be judged against external standards, anthropologists increasingly view interpretation as a dialogue between observer and observed. Understanding culture, then, requires not only careful observation, but also awareness of the lenses through which that observation takes place.
Geographers studying cities often focus on visible features, such as skylines or population density. However, less visible spatial patterns, particularly access to resources, can reveal deeper forms of inequality within urban environments. Consider access to public transportation. Neighborhoods well served by transit systems tend to attract investment, employment opportunities, and public services. In contrast, areas with limited transit access may experience reduced economic mobility, even if they are geographically close to city centers. Distance alone does not determine accessibility. Travel time, cost, and reliability matter just as much. These patterns are rarely accidental. Decisions about where transit lines are built often reflect historical priorities, political influence, and economic assumptions. Over time, such decisions can reinforce existing inequalities, making certain neighborhoods increasingly connected while others remain spatially isolated. As a result, geographers argue that urban space should be analyzed relationally. Rather than viewing locations as fixed points on a map, they emphasize how connections, or the lack of them, shape social and economic outcomes. Understanding cities, then, requires attention to how spatial arrangements influence opportunity across different groups.